Now we are down with the last two problems, and for this one, we have arithmetic gradient series. So let's read the problem first. A contract has been signed to lease at 20,000 per year. Now, dun sa ano nyo kasi sa handout nyo is 200,000. So make it 20,000. Okay? 20,000 per year with an annual increase of 1,500 for 8 years. Payments are to be made at the end of each year starting 1 year from now. The prevailing interest rate is 7%. What lump sum paid today would be equivalent to the 8-year lease payment plan? Now, the best way to deal with this first is to write the given. So, we have this 20,000 per year. So, parang ito yung ating fixed na annuity, which is 20,000. So, yung ating A would be 20,000. And then, what is that a certain value of G na ito yung ina-add natin for every, let's say, 1 year, 2 years, no? So, for this, we have 1,500. It is added annually, no? So, parang for every year, meron tayong 1,500. So, for the next year, that will be 21,500 na. So, parang ganun yung idea, no? And then, payments are to be made at the end of each year. So, this is ordinary annuity starting 1 year from now. And then, the prevailing interest rate is 7%. So, therefore, I is equal to 7% or 0.07. Now, what lump sum paid today would be equivalent to the 8-year lease payment plan. So, therefore, yung ating N is equal to 8 kasi 8 years. 8 years yung ating payment plan. Now, you can draw the arithmetic gradient pero it is not necessarily naman na i-drawing nyo tong mga ganito pa kasi kung direct sub naman tong mga values ito kasi kung mapansin nyo, if we have 0 here and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you can just draw some arrows going downward, no? And then, syempre, paano siya? Pa-increase siya ng pa-increase ng length. But basically, actually, ano yan, equally spaced dapat yan. So, you'll be trying to bring all of this to the present, no? Actually, there is another way na pag hindi mo solo yung formula for this, you can just bring this all individually sa present. Pwedeng mo actually gawin yan eh. You'll have the same result. Pero syempre, if we're trying to minimize the time for computation, then you can just use the formula. Kasi ang idea nito is, kaya nga tayo nagkaroon ng gradient series for your uniform series kasi na-obtain yun dun sa parang summation ng lahat ng mga tanong. Taking this to the present worth. So with this, P, using our formula, P is equal to A, so yung ating annuity, so huwag natin kakalimutan yon 1 minus 1 plus I raised negative n over I. So, ito lang naman yung ating annuity, no? But we have to make sure that we are actually multiplying this with, or adding this with the value of our G. And then this is multiplied to 1 over I. So, ito na yung parang ating ating factor ng ating annuity, no? And then 1 plus I raised to n. Parang baliktaran nga lang in the sense. Minus 1 over I minus n. Okay, and then you multiply this first with 1 over 1 plus I raised to n. Close mo yan and then close natin ang isa pang brace. So, let's substitute the values for this so we can now determine yung ating P. Now, P is equal to 20,000. Muna tayo sa may annuity natin. So, 1 minus 1 plus 0.07 raised to negative 8, correct? Negative 8 and then divided by 0.07. Okay? Then plus, G would be 1,500. So, that is 1,500. You multiply this with 1 over 0.07. Just follow the equation. So, that is 1. Let me just use 1.07 para mas simple na lang. Then, this is 8. So, minus 1 over 0.07 and then minus 8 multiplying this with 1 over 1.07 raised to 8. Then we close this as a brace. Okay, so finally, if we'll be able to evaluate this, we can determine the value of P, which is actually equal to 147,609.3773. Okay, so in short, this problem is a direct substitution problem. You just have to make sure na you're applying the same formula as this one. Kasi if it's present, then you use the present. And if it's the future, you use the future. Now, kung hindi mo ulit tanda at nalimutan mo na kung paano to gawin, so one way to deal with this is to check the values for each one. Let's say 20,000 to, okay, and then how about this one? It's 20,000 plus 1,500, so that is I think 21,500. Then yung next would be around 20, I think that would be 23,000. Okay, so ito, you can just bring this individually para mas matagal yung computation. But then again, that is actually applicable. Or you can do something like chop mo muna yung first yung annuity ng kabuuan. So actually ito yun eh, yung idea nito. But meron tayong annuity dito kasi chinap niya yung parang annuity ng kabuuan. So parang binalik niya to dito. Oops. So parang binalik niya dyan, parang yun yung idea niya eh. And then so tayo nag-solve for yung ating mga values nung ating gradient, ganon. So that's it for 24. Let's head to the last problem. Okay, so last method. How about trying to multiply this initial value for the next payment? So ano ba yung magiging values natin, as well as ano kaya yung gaano kaya kalaki yung mga magiging future amount natin kung ganito, no? Then again, depende yun sa tanong, no? And let's just read the problem. Consider an EOY geometric sequence. So the meaning of EOY is actually end of the year. So pag sinabi natin EOY, that is correlated to ordinary annuity kasi that is end of the year. Pag start of the year, yun yung ating annuity due. So geometric sequence of cash flows in which the first payment made was 1,000. So remember, yung ating first payment is 1,000. Now this is continued for 4 years, and then we need to determine the P, A, and F equivalent values. The rate of increase is 20% per year after this first year, and the interest rate is 25% per year. Now we have to make sure now we label all the needed variables here, no? Now labeling these values, we have A sub 1. So ito yung ating first payment. So that is A sub 1. This is equal to 1,000. Okay? And then ano ba yung ating mga rate? So yung ating interest rate, sasabi dito, the interest rate is 25% per year. So we have I is equal to 0.25, and then yung ating rate of increase, that is F, that is equal to 0.20. And just remember, yung ating F, since it is an increase, so that is actually positive, no? Whenever it becomes negative, then you have to make sure na you put a negative sign on your F kasi it could be a decrease, no? Now, the question is, let's determine our P, A, and F equivalent values. So, yung pinakamadali natin gawin, since yung nasa handout nyo is just the P value, so we use yung P. And then, there are two equations kasi this one is a piecewise function. That is, if I is equal to F, then the equation does not exist for the first equation, no? So, with this, we have to make sure na yung ating I is not equal to F. So, dito naman is not equal to F, so we can just use the first equation. That is A sub 1. Okay, multiplied by 1 minus, we have P given F, and then I percent N, and then we need to multiply this with F given P, and then that is F percent, and then N. Okay, and then we divide this all by I minus F. Now, gusto kong maintindihan nyo kung paano nagbabasa ng mga ganitong factor kasi sometimes kung equation is given like this, kasi sometimes medyo mahaba yung equation pag sinulat mo talaga siya. So, you have to make sure na ganito na lang yung form para mas madali siyang i-interpret. Pero with this, let's try to give yung value nito. So, we have A sub 1. Now, 1 minus, what is the factor when you're given by the future worth and then you need to find that present worth? So, what you have to do is to multiply that certain value which is given as the future. So, that is 1 plus I. So, we have 1 plus I raised to negative N because we need to find this P and we're given with F. Now, for this one, we multiply this by F given P. So, that is 1 plus I. We raise this to, not I, but F, kasi F to, no? And then we raise this to N. Okay, so this is your formula for your geometric gradient, and divide this all by 1 minus F. So I hope nag-guess nyo yung idea dito, no? This is our factors na ginamit natin, and it's just the compound amount factor na formula natin. Let's solve for this. So we have P is equal to 1,000 times 1 minus 1 plus 0.25 raised to negative, how many years we'll be doing this. So n is equal to 4, 4 years. So negative 4 and then 1 plus 0.20 raised to positive 4, and then that is divided by 1, not actually 1 but I. Actually this is I. So that is 0.25 minus 0.20. So your P would be equal to, so the value of your P is 3013.0688. Okay, so ito yung value natin for our P. Now, this value, pag gusto natin hanapin yung F, we'll just use yung ating compound amount factor. And then kung F naman, kung A naman is, we'll be using our uniform series worth factor for that. And just to show you something here, no? What if I is equal to F? So what if I is equal to F? Now for this case, kung mapansin nyo, if I is equal to F, yung ating base would be the same. And then by multiplying that and then adding the negative and positive exponent, we'll be able to get 0, correct? And then 1 minus 1 will be 0 as well as this one. Kaya nga, pag I is equal to F, we make sure na we'll be using yung ating equation A sub 1, N, and then just P given F and then I percent N. Para hindi masyado magulo yung ating equation. It's just that you be using yung etong portion na to lang, parang ito lang. Okay? So, yun. Then you multiply that with N and then A sub 1. Now, for our F, since N is equal to 4, okay? And we know that this is your P. So, therefore, F is equal to P times 1 plus I raised to 4. And therefore, your F is equal to 3013.0688 times 1 plus 0. Now, what will be the interest rate? So, we'll be using yung I natin. So, that is 0.25 and then raised to 4. So, therefore, your future worth will be equal to 7356.125. Okay? And finally, for our annuity, we could just use the original equation here, yung P natin. So, if we want to find A, so P is equal to A and then quantity 1 minus 1 plus I raised to negative N over I. So, therefore, we have 3013.0688. This is equated to A and then 1 minus 1 plus 0.25 raised to negative 4 over 0.25. Okay, so with this, the value of your A is equal to 1225.8591. Okay. So, ano ba ibig sabihin itong mga APF na to? If you want to find yung ating 4 payments and then bring that to the present, you'll be able to get 3013. Kapag naman future siya, 7356. And then if you try to level this all payments, nang hindi siya parang geometric in a sense na tumataas siya every year. So, you can just pay 1,275 instead of paying something like increasing values, no? So, ganun lang may application natin for our geometric sequence. And this ends our discussion for the preliminary. So, I hope na na-gets nyo yung ating napakaraming time-valued problems, no? So, medyo mas marami talaga yung discussions regarding this sa prelim kasi starting lang tayo mag-understand ng mga concept regarding our time-valued problems. But then again, dun sa mga midterm natin discussions, we'll be focusing more on the benefits of yung ating mga, at saka yung kung paano natin nagdi-deal dun sa mga decisions natin when we're solving for much deeper sense ng ating mga computation. So that's it for the preliminary discussions, and I hope you'll try to understand all of this and study well for your problem set and quiz. Okay? Stay safe.